is more balanced. Fasting can be useful, but usefulness is not the same thing as magic. Now, there is another important issue. The more extreme the fasting pattern becomes, the more careful we need to be. Some forms of alternate day fasting can produce significant weight loss, but if a person loses too much lean body mass, that can be a problem. Weight is not the only thing that matters. Muscle matters, bone matters, nutritional adequacy matters, protein intake matters, physical activity matters. So a person should not think the less I eat, the healthier I become. That is not a scientific principle. The body needs nutrients. The goal is not simply to make the number on the weighing scale as small as possible. The goal is good health. And this brings us to another important question. Could intermittent fasting actually be harmful? There have been studies raising concerns about possible risks, but here again we should be careful. One study can produce a worrying association. That does not automatically prove that fasting caused the problem. Perhaps the people who choose a particular fasting pattern are different in other ways. Perhaps they already have health problems. Perhaps their diet quality is poor. Perhaps they smoke. Perhaps they exercise less. Perhaps they have other risk factors. This is called confounding, and it is another reason why nutrition research is difficult. Scientists have to separate the effect of fasting from everything else happening in a person's life. That is incredibly difficult when you are studying people living freely in the real world. Now imagine a perfect experiment. You take two groups of people, you give both groups exactly the same calories, exactly the same protein, exactly the same carbohydrate, exactly the same fat, exactly the same vitamins and minerals. You control their sleep, you control their physical activity, you control their stress, and the only difference is when they eat. Now, you could begin to answer a very interesting, does meal timing itself create additional benefits? But there is a problem. Such studies are extremely expensive. People would have to live under controlled conditions. Their food would have to be weighed. Every calorie would have to be measured. Every meal would have to be controlled. And they might have to stay in the research center for months. Very few people would volunteer for that. And very few researchers could afford it. Some scientists have nevertheless conducted small inpatient feeding studies. These are among the most scientifically valuable studies because researchers know exactly what participants are eating. Interestingly, these controlled studies have sometimes found stronger effects from intermittent fasting than the larger studies based on self-reported diet.